Let's bring up the fabulous Katherine Hathaway of Being the Phoenix.
So, die-hard fans, how would you like to stop paying for your past and start investing in your future?
Yes!
Thank you. I've been saying this to my bankruptcy clients for the last 25 or so years. Stop paying for your past, start investing in your future. And many of them took my advice and filed a bankruptcy or built up a payment plan that I taught them how to do so that they could stop paying for their past and start investing in their futures. I love the thank you notes I get and the emails saying, hey, I've got a 401k and I've just bought my first house and I've rebuilt my credit. Makes me feel like that's why I get up in the morning. I love what I do. The thing is, I was great at giving advice, but I wasn't taking it very well. My money habits were deeply ingrained from childhood, as most of ours are. And when I was growing up, there was no talk of savings. My father worked 6 days a week. And then he died when I was 14 and my sister was 11. My mother went to work 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, immediately. So we'd been abandoned by both our father, who couldn't help it, he died, and our mother, who went to work. And there was not any life insurance to speak of. There was no savings for her to fall back on, not a moment to grieve. And survival was all we were doing. She worked 2 full-time jobs to hold us together. And I know that Trish is nodding her head because she remembers what it was like growing up that way. And that played out. I went to music school in the most economical way possible. Music school. This is going to get me with 25 cents a cup of coffee back then. Lived at home. I taught piano and sang wherever they would pay me so that I could add to my own support. But still, savings was never discussed or talked about, much less investment. And then after my music degree, I went out into the music world and fairly quickly became a single mother with no visible means of support. And by the time my son was 8 months old, I was the one working 7 days a week to hold body and soul together. I worked as a legal secretary, I sang wherever they would pay me, and that was quite a bit in South Florida. And I wrote music reviews for the Boca News. I had a lot of fun, not a lot of sleep. And once again, saving and investing in my future was not part of the picture. So I went, my lawyer boss suggested I go to law school. Great, so I had 2 years, 1 year to get ready to take the LSAT, 1 year to get ready to go to law school, and to save money. And every time I saved up some money, something would happen. My little sister lost her job, or I had to do something. So finally, when it came time to go to law school, at a state school where the tuition was low, I took off with $800 and my 6-year-old in tow and lived by the skin of my teeth and my fingernails, no child support. And the habit of living on the edge, which I used to justify by saying, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much room. The habit of living on the edge was deeply ingrained. And I'm thinking, okay, great, I'm going to be a lawyer where I can work one 40-hour-a-week job. Ha! Instead of all these cobbled together jobs to make money and support us. I ended up working a 60-hour-a-week job and running a church music program for another 20 hours. And still, no savings, no investment. And I lived on the edge of everything all the time, just like my clients were. I was no less one paycheck away from homelessness than they were. And of course, this kind of rolls on you. And finally, as I was interviewing my clients and writing down their stuff and building them a budget and teaching them how to budget, I realized I was the best bankruptcy client in my office. And when the economy crashed, you'd think that people would have to file more bankruptcies, right? Wrong. They stopped paying their mortgages. The mortgage companies were very slow to respond. Instead, they paid off their credit cards. And we got hungry, real hungry. My income went way down. And I struggled for a few years trying to get it together. And finally, I had to file a bankruptcy. I was actually being sued in my own community by lawyers I knew personally. It was not comfortable. And even then, I still wasn't saving any money. I wasn't investing in my future. So even after bankruptcy, I still wasn't able to get it together because my income had dropped so low. And I started to see repeat business from clients for whom I had filed bankruptcies in the past. Now, I was really grateful they remembered me and came back to me. But I was not so pleased that I hadn't done my job of coaching them to make sure their budgets worked and to save money. And, we talked about those things. I didn't just throw them to the wolves. Of course, we now know wolves are kind of nice. And I wasn't practicing what I preached. So it was a year after the bankruptcy, and I was behind in my mortgages, 3 months on my house and 3 months on my office building. And I was pretty desperate. And I decided something had to change and that I needed to learn how to teach my clients so I didn't see repeat business. So I decided to rise from the ashes. I love anagrams as much as the next girl. And RISE breaks down into 4 powerful concepts. R stands for take responsibility. I had to take responsibility that it wasn't the economy that beat me up. It was decisions that I had made. But you don't take responsibility into blame because that doesn't help anybody. You just take responsibility, own it, and know that the decisions that you made got you where you are, and you can make new decisions and learn new habits. So I started doing research on budgeting methods, and I really enjoyed particularly Elizabeth Warren's books about budgeting. Senator Elizabeth Warren, she's my hero. And learned to think differently about money and apply it differently in my life. I invested in myself. I got coaching. I learned to read new books about thinking differently about money. Think and Grow Rich changed my life because I suddenly imagined, another I word, how much money I was going to make. And I looked at last year's money and went, I once made $40,000 in a month. Okay, that's my new goal. I called up the staff and I said, we're going to collect $40,000 a month. They thought I had lost my mind. After the mail came in, they called me up and said, well, we've made the first half of that. We collected $20,000 this morning. Sure, I like the universe just fine. By the end of that month, we had collected 150% of my goal, enough money to replace what we lost in January and February. And for the rest of that year and the next year, we never missed that goal. Just naming a number. I didn't do anything else. I just said, we're going to collect $40,000 a month. The other thing that I did was that I learned that I had to find a way to serve better than anybody else did. Now, I already thought I did that. But I decided to add value to what I was doing. I created budgeting sheets. I have a 50, 20, 30 plan budgeting sheet that I give to my clients so that they can build a different kind of budget. I ask them what their dreams are, and I help them to imagine a way to expand their income so that this doesn't happen to them again. And the E in RISE stands for express gratitude for every little thing, for the good stuff, the bad stuff. Oh, great, something to want. Oh, great, another fabulous growth opportunity. Oh, great, there's always something good about everything that happens because the universe wants us to thrive and prosper. I believe that. And I think I'm seeing nodding heads. I think you believe that too. What this has done for my business is it's grown. Bankruptcies is still going down. My business is going up. I set a new goal this year. I said, okay, girls, we're going to collect $50,000 a month. Once again, they sighed and thought I'd lost my mind. And at the end of the month, Tara runs into my office. She goes, how do you make this work? And why doesn't it work at home? We did your goal. How did that happen? I don't know. We set a goal, we decided on it, and it works. So, how would you like to stop paying for your past and start investing in your future? You can do it. It's within all of our power to do that. And I invite you to rise like a phoenix, as my clients do, and as I am. Thank you very much.
Yeah, awesome, girl. All right, so who wants to rise like a phoenix? Rise, Captain, rise. Okay, so you can get your free ebook, The Phoenix 7 Steps to Financial Recovery and Mastery, and learn more all about Katherine and what she does at bethephoenix.net, not .com, .net. So bethephoenix.net.